Following the ceasefire between Lebanon and Israel, war erupted in Syria a day later between the Syrian Arab Republic and rebel groups. It seems as if the Israeli government had planned this years ago to cut off Hezbollah's trade routes from Iran. Why would they do this? Because Iranian funding is estimated to be around $400 to $700 million annually, along with political support, weapons, and training provided by Iran. Israel and Iran have been sworn enemies for years, with Iran consistently working against Israel's interests and operations. The rebels HTS or Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, they are the leading offensive of this major campaign. Also known as the Organization for the Liberation of the Levant, HTS was founded by Abu Mohammed al-Jalani, a military commander who gained experience as a young fighter for Al-Qaeda against the United States in Iraq during the US invasion before his capture and imprisonment in Iraq. Despite severing ties with Al-Qaeda and joining with other factions to rebrand as HTS in 2017, Turkey played a major role by backing HTS and other rebel groups in the lead up to the offensive. What does Turkey gain from this? Reduced influence of Iran and Hezbollah militia groups near the Syrian-Turkish border. A potential opportunity to gain more territory. It's possible for Turkey and Israel to cooperate, given their mutual concerns about Iran and Hezbollah. Significant challenges exist. Turkey's backing of groups like Hayat Tahrir al-Sham HTS, considered a terrorist organization by many. Israel's security focus often prioritizes neutralizing Hezbollah and Iranian supply lines, while Turkey's goals involve securing its borders, countering Kurdish groups, and potentially expanding its influence in northern Syria. On November 27th, opposition forces, led by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham HTS, launched a surprise attack on Iran while a large-scale offensive against government forces in Aleppo, Idlib, and Hama. This operation marked the most significant escalation since the 2020 ceasefire. Rebel forces rapidly captured key areas, including most of Aleppo and its international airports. One of the key reasons these cities fell to HTS is that Iranian generals were occupied fighting the IDF in south of Lebanon and wasn't able to support the Syrian army to fortify their positions. The offensive, called deterrence of aggression, led to HTS capturing key strategic locations, including parts of Aleppo, which had been under Syrian government control for years. Rebel forces also pushed into other areas, such as parts of Idlib and northern Hama, which had been relatively stable in recent weeks. The Syrian government responded with airstrikes, heavily bombing rebel positions, deploying reinforcements, but the rebels managed to maintain their hold in many of the areas they captured. Bashar al-Assad increased military salaries by 50% to ensure the loyalty of his soldiers. Reports suggest unrest within Damascus, including rumors of potential dissent within the Syrian army and elite circles. These remain largely unverified, but highlight potential instability within Assad's inner ranks. Several factors contributed to this sudden offensive. Among them, the diversion of Iranian resources due to their involvement in other regional conflicts, including fighting against Israel's IDF, may have weakened the Syrian government's ability to resist. Additionally, Turkey's continued support for the opposition groups, including HTS, likely bolstered the rebels' offensive capabilities. Russian jets were reported to be bombing rebel positions in Idlib and northern Syria for a second day on Sunday, with independent war monitors saying dozens of civilians had been killed. Thousands of civilian cars fled Aleppo hours after insurgents overran key neighborhoods, residents told Reuters news agency. They were mostly heading for Latakia and Salamia, they said. With the main Damascus-Aleppo highway closed, Assad has been at war with opposition forces, seeking his overthrow for 13 years, in a conflict which has claimed an estimated 500,000 lives. Some 6.8 million Syrians have fled the country over the course of the war, mostly resettling in Turkey. Nearly 1.3 million people have been granted protection in EU countries as of last year. Is history going to repeat itself? Or is this the end of the Assad regime?